Welcome class, myself Professor D.S. Rai, Professor Department of Civil Engineering BBD ITM Lucknow. Today we will take up course KCE 076 Urban Transportation Planning. Today lecture is lecture 30, in which we will cover traffic and travel characteristics. References: we have taken traffic engineering, highway engineering, traffic engineering by R. Srinivas Kumar, highway engineering by Khanna and Jesto, principle of transportation engineering by Partho Chakravarti and Nimesh Das, principle of transportation engineering by AKtU and Pradeep Kumar Garg, transportation engineering and transport planning by Kadiali and Lal. The contents today we will cover the definition, a scope of traffic engineering, traffic characteristic, road user characteristic, vehicular characteristics. Now, come to the first of all traffic characteristic. There are two types of traffic characteristic. One is road user characteristic and another is vehicular characteristic. Road user characteristic related with the person who are using the roads, and that includes the physical characteristic, mental characteristic, psychological characteristic, environmental factors, pedestrian characteristic and driver characteristic. Whereas in vehicular characteristic there are many characteristics like a static characteristic and second is dynamic or kinematic characteristic. In physical characteristic there are two types, one is permanent factors and another is temporary factors. In permanent factors the visual factors is important, because if the visual is not so good, then it will continue for a longer time if it is not properly treated. The hearing, the strength, age, judgment and reaction response, where in the temporary factors alcohol, fatigue, illness, anger, climate, season and times are the factors. So, first of all we discuss vision. The affect the ability of road user to detect object, receive information and identify object. The visual acuity or clearness of vision, and second is peripheral vision. So, we go through it up to this is the cone angle of vision. So, up to 3 to 5 degree the vision is very clear vision, legend can be read within this cone. What is the cone? Cone is like a this one, you can see here. Between 5 degree to 7 degree the vision is clear and good vision. Then the 10 to 12 degree satisfactory vision, object shape and color can be identified. Beyond 12 degree the blur vision starts, means we cannot see the object properly. Movement of object can be detected. Then come to the, this is the peripheral vision. This is the eye and this is the cone. This is the cone. So, we can see here this is the range of 10 to 12 degree cone, that is fairly clear vision could be used. This is 3 to 10 degree cone of acute vision. So, up to this, up to 10 degree to 12 degree cone of fairly clear vision, object could be quite visible and there will be no problem at all. Beyond that, then the problem starts and object become blurred. So, the eye movement and the visual concentration, then the color vision, glare vision and recovery. Once the vehicle is coming from the opposite side and a start light, then with the instant the glare will stop the vision, and within a fraction of second it is again recovered. The perception of a space means how much distance is there, what is the height, this could be the perception of a space. Hearing, because the rear vehicle will make a horn. So, that could be easily heard. Then the vibration sense of touch, once it is touched, then that could be perceived a strength. Suppose a multi-axle vehicle is driven by a very thin people, he cannot move the vehicles during the driving, because he has to work hard to rotate the vehicle, rotate the steering. So, strength is one of the important factor for the driver. Age is also important, but the perception time or reaction time is very fast in the early age before say 18, and after 50 the reaction time is very large. So, age factor is also there, and then judgment. This is the important factors with the driver, how he has judged. A space between two vehicles, he can judge and cross it. He can stop or make a regular distance between two vehicles in the moving state also. So, this is the judgment. Now, come the eye movement. Fixing of eyes on object will be 0.1 to 0.3 seconds, that time taken by the eye. The jumping of eyes, then 0.12 to 0.23 seconds, and shifting of eyes, converging and diverging 0.3 to 0.5 seconds, the time required for that. Then come to the mental characteristic. Mental means the knowledge of the vehicle and the driving, skills, how is skill, intelligence should be there. So, can he take a decision properly, and literacy means he know each and everything about the driving. Then the psychological factors. The psychological factors includes attentiveness, fear, anger, superstitious, impatience, maturity, general attitude towards traffic and regulation. Driver should be quite attentive while driving a vehicle. Fear, suppose a vehicle, some person or a small boy just crossing ahead the vehicles. So, he will fear, he feel fear, because there is a chances of accident. While crossing, he may anger why he has done so. Superstitious, suppose a cat is crossing a road, so he will stop the vehicle, and then after a few moments he will start the vehicle. So, this is the superstitious. Impatience, suppose there is a congestion, in impatience driver will make a horn of ahead vehicles, but there is a congestion, he cannot move. So, this is the impatience. Maturity, this will show the maturity while driving a vehicle on the road. And what is the attitude of a person towards the traffic and regulations. So, this is the psychological factors. Now, come to the environmental factors, that is what are the environmental things happen. Rains, because rain is a natural thing, while driving rain may occur, especially in the winter season there may be fog which will restrict the speed of the vehicle. Visibility is a very small distance. Snow mist in the hilly region, and this problems occurs. The sun radiation during the summer season, then the sun radiation is a predominant factors. Cold weather in the winter, when it is too cold, then that will affect the driving also. Wind intensity, when the driver is driving and if there is a speed of wind is too high, then this will affect the driving skill of the driver. Night visibility, some has a problem of night visibility. When he is driving in a night, then he will feel some difficulty in driving. Surface drainage, the water drainage condition, this will also affect the driving of the driver. Then the pedestrian characteristic, walking speed is the most critical input parameters in design of pedestrian at cross section. 85th percentile of walking speed is used for the design of a signal timing at signalized intersection. The gap acceptance and the time gap accepting or rejecting behavior of pedestrian is considered in the design of unsignalized intersection. So, the behavior of pedestrian is quite different, and each person has a different views. So, it is very difficult to accommodate all these things while a study of pedestrian characteristics. So, we can see here, this is the cumulative percentage, this is the 100% pedestrian walking speed. So, what happened up to 15%, there is no problem, and up to 15% this will make a hazard while pedestrian walking, and one we can see here, this is the line, this is the cumulative percentage. So, it is S shape. So, the pedestrian designs or signal designs are made on 85th percentile speed of the pedestrian. Pedestrian characteristic, factors affecting the gap acceptance behavior of the pedestrian, a speed of approaching vehicle, width of a street, frequency distribution gaps in the traffic stream, waiting time one of the important factor. Once the pedestrian is going to cross a road, he has to wait some times, and this waiting time is very difficult to bear it. So, everybody is impatient to just cross it. Age factor is also important, because small kids below 18 years, they are quite often the reaction time is very small. So, they will cross it immediately, and above 50, then the reaction time is too long, then he will think and then cross it when there is no traffic on the road. Second is a gender. Gender is also very important for the pedestrian. Male can take a decision immediately, where the women will think, rethink to cross it. So, now come to the vehicular characteristic, in which there is a static characteristic. We can see here the maximum dimension of a vehicle on the in the Indian conditions. Width, all vehicles, the total width, the maximum width is 2.5 meter. Height, a single decked vehicle for the normal application, that is 3.8 meter, where for the double decked vehicle, that will be 4.75 meter. This is the condition of the vehicle, this is the standard condition of the vehicle in Indian conditions. The length of the vehicle, the single unit track of with 2 or more axles, that is type 2 or type 3 vehicles. So, the length will be 11 meter. Then the single unit bus with 2 or more axle, type 2 or 3, that will be 12 meter. Then the semi trailer tractor combination, the type 2 S1, 2 S2, 3 S1, 3 S2, the length is 16 meter, and the maximum length of a vehicle in Indian conditions, in normal conditions, you can say tractor with trailer combination, that is type 22, 32, 23, 32, that is 18 meter. So, no vehicle can move on the highway having length more than 18 meter. If any vehicles have length more than 18 meter, then they have to take a separate permission from the competent authority to move on the highway. So, this is the static characteristic of a vehicles. So, the maximum permissible gross weight of the vehicles. So, we see here the type 2 both axle single tire, the maximum gross weight is 12 tons. Type 2 front axle single tire, rear axle dual tire, then the maximum gross weight will be 16 ton. Then the type 3 have 24 tons, and type 3, then that will be 44.4 tons. This is the maximum weight of a vehicle can carry on the highway, and the maximum weight permitted in the Indian conditions are type 3 vehicles, that is 52.2 tons. No vehicle can carry more weight more than 52.2 tons, and this is the configuration of the front axle and the rear axle. So, here the factors relating to the axle loads and the vehicle gross weight, the maximum permissible gross weight. We can see here, this is the vehicle type, vehicle class, vehicle type, maximum gross weight in tons. So, we can see here, this is the type 2, front vehicle will with the 1 and there is a 1 axle in the rear. So, this is type 2 vehicles, both single tire 1 So, the maximum gross weight will be 12. The front axle tire, single tire and rear dual tire, then 16.2 tons. Now, come to the 3. So, the front axle is one axle and rear have two axles. So, this is called type 3 vehicles. Now, come to this is the different combinations. This is type 2 S1, type 2, this is type 2, S1 means this is the trailer having only one axle. So, this is the combination of this one. So, type 3 vehicles, so on, this is the configuration of all the vehicles are different types of the vehicles on the Indian conditions. So, we can say the type 3, the maximum gross weight that a vehicle can carry will be 52.2 ton. Now, come to the factors relating to axle load and the vehicle gross weight. The single axle have 10.2, tandem axle 19.0 and tandem axle 24. This is the load limit. Now, come to the dynamic characteristics of the vehicles, means in moving conditions. The factor affecting road designs are power of engine govern, the permissible and limiting value of gradient of the road, the total resistance to traction consisting of inertia, rolling resistance, air resistance, grade resistance are considered. A speed and acceleration speeds on power engine. Now, a speed effect. What are the effect dynamic characteristic? A speed effect, side distance, this will decide the side distance, super elevation, length of transition curve, limiting radius of on horizontal curves, and it may includes the length of transition curve on horizontal curves, width of permanent pavement and the shoulder on a straight and a horizontal curves, the design gradient, the capacity of traffic lane, and last design and control measurement on intersection. Then the speed limit. To take variability into account, the speed limit of any road section is often fixed as 85th percentile of the speed. The acceleration, accident reconstruction or investigation purpose, estimating time required to cross at intersection, overtaking distance and gap acceptance. So, these are the dynamic characteristics of the vehicles. The braking characteristic, because brake is very important of a vehicles. This is I can say a control of vehicle in a hand of a driver. So, this is used for safety evaluation of the vehicle with the roadway geometry design consideration. Time and distance travelled by the vehicle after the application of the brake, which depends on the vehicle and the pavement surface. The vehicle performance will very much depend upon the braking system of the vehicle, and this will develop a confidence in the driver. So, brake is a very important factor for a vehicle, and that is the control point of the driver. Thank you very much. Thank you.